That's the main goal, guys. Every single day, we just want to be able to help some people and help them make better choices in their lives. That's all we really want, right? All right, let's do it. Hey guys, my name is David Ruff. I'm coming to you today, and we're going to be helping you look into what inflation is doing to the majority of your portfolios. Now, all of you know that inflation is one of the most damaging things that can happen to your entire financial future. And so there's a lot of countries that are further along down the road that are getting a lot more hurt by inflation than we are. But if we look at their examples, we can now figure out for ourselves what we're supposed to be doing about it. So if you want to go do some of your own research, we could go look into the historical story of a lot of countries. But just today, the countries of Venezuela are in sheer meltdown. Lebanon is in mega meltdown, and so is Turkey. And so we're going to be looking at one of these articles today. If you want to go look it up, I don't know how to read this name, EKATHIMERINI.com. Anyway, it just says that Turkey is likely to face bankruptcy. Of course, it's going to be, right? Turkey's economy is on the verge of bankruptcy. Remember that we're seeing inflation around 80%, and that is stated. That's not even reality. In reality, they're probably facing about 130% inflation. Can you imagine that? That would wipe you out within a year. Because of the chaos the present government will leave behind, the new government faces the risk of failure in its economic policies, and the report says that the Turkish state will have difficulty paying any wages or pensions. And guess what? They said that they are needing the support of foreign banks and other financial institutions if Turkey is to avoid bankruptcy. And this is the problem. Is if you go, let's just say that you're one person and you go out there and you spend $1 million, just me, and I put it on a credit card. If I'm working at McDonald's, I'm making minimum wage. I have no hope of ever paying that off. And for me just to say, I'm hoping that banks will come to my rescue and just, give me some money to get out of it. We need more people today, individually, people to take responsibility. We need countries to take responsibility for what they are spending, what they are doing, and not squander a lot of money. So if you go and look at what we would call M2 money supply, how many dollars have been printed? Let's check that out. How many dollars have they printed in Turkey? So if we look back till 2007, we could see that this gear goes on a sheer hockey stick, like a rocket flying up. Crazy. But if you notice the numbers on the side, we're talking in the tens of trillions, right? But if we use the exact same website at tradingeconomics.com and go over to the US, we'll see in the US here, now this is the max chart. Let's look at a 25-year chart. We do see it, but it's not like as straight of a launch of a rocket. It just looks like a bunny hill at a ski slope. Though it is a big bump in 2020 and 2021, this is not near as bad. Look at these numbers. Up to 20,000, not 20 trillion. If you go look up those charts on the Trading Economics. Now, let's look at again the Turkey numbers. Look at this, just straight up. But it's even worse in some other countries like Venezuela. So what do you do? What do you do when you have this type of inflation? This is enough to wipe people out. If you have that much inflation, this is where you have to have some of your other strategies already set up. So like I always say, $1, this $1 bill, this $1 was made in 1928. And on the top of it, it says silver certificate. And I always say that back then, 1 ounce of silver was one paper dollar. But today, one of these US, if this is a US dollar, would be something like $27 or something like that. So what happened? What happened is they printed 27 more dollars for every 1 ounce that they had in possession. So this actually took away a lot of that inflation. So if you go back to ancient Rome 2,000 years ago, 1 ounce of gold would get you one nice outfit and a nice pair of shoes. If we go back to when my grandfather was born at the beginning of the century, 1 ounce of gold would buy a nice suit, nice pair of shoes. When my dad was born in 1945, this would also buy a nice suit and a nice pair of shoes. Today, this would buy a high-end designer suit and a nice pair of shoes. I'm saying that this didn't lose value, but a dollar, since it was created, has lost around 96% of its value. So that is where you got to get into stuff, into stuff. I watched this video in Venezuela where a father had made some money and he handed it in his young son's hands. He goes buy something. And the son says, what am I supposed to buy? And he says, I don't care what you go buy. Buy a shovel, buy anything. Because the price of everything was going up so much, it was doubling sometimes in a day. So they wouldn't even work an 8-hour shift and get paid at the end. They'd get paid for 2 hours work, go buy something with it. Work 2 more hours, go buy something with it. Work 2 more hours, go buy something with it. You had to pay your employees 4 times a day because inflation was that bad. So that's where obviously Canada, United States, we're not in as bad a shape, but inflation is wrecking us right now because wages stay pretty much the same. Wages are not going up anywhere, but as the cost of living gets more and more and more expensive, it's going to squeeze that middle class and the lower class a lot. So that is where we have to get into a little bit of some plans. Remember, we want to have always an opportunity fund, an emergency fund. I always do think it's a good idea to have a little bit of Ethereum and Bitcoin in your portfolio. How much? Not a lot. 1, 2, 3%, like just something small, like a little schmuck insurance. I also think everyone should get some gold and silver and put this in your portfolio, right? You shouldn't have too much of it, but just a little bit of it so that inflation is not going to wipe you out. Always, the majority of your portfolio has got to be into some kind of real estate with a lot of different revenue streams. If you want, you can go check out our other video that we had on revenue streams. We showed you how to get 20 revenue streams in one house. Anyway, that's it for me, you guys. I want to know, what are you doing to fight inflation? It's here. It's coming after you. It's the silent killer. So what are you doing about inflation? I'm showing you what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. But I'm curious, if you think I'm right, cool, let me know. And if I'm wrong, let me know too. I'm very curious to know what you're doing. Anyway, please remember to share this with a couple of your friends and go check out that video on revenue streams. It'll really help you out. I'll talk to you soon.